Hey guys, what's going on? It's Eli, and yes, that's right, you read the title, and you know exactly what this video is. My very own tribute / farewell to Muppet Vision 3D. Yes. As of this upload, today marks the last day that Muppet Vision 3D at Disney's Hollywood Studios is in operation. Yes. So, Muppet Vision 3D. First off, the first things I have to say about Muppet Vision 3D in my experience having seen Muppet Vision 3D, well, because the numerous times that my family and we went to the Disney parks, and, I seem to recall, even at a young age, when seeing and experiencing Muppet Vision, I found myself enjoying it and loving it. Yeah, and Muppet Vision 3D becoming a favorite of the Disney parks, and most notably at MGM Studios, now called Hollywood Studios. With what Muppet Vision 3D had to offer, with its storyline, its amazing 3D experience, with the 3D glasses, the effects around the theater room, and with the very impressive animatronic versions of some of the Muppet characters, from Stadler, Waldorf, the Orchestra of Penguins, Bean Bunny, the Swedish Chef running the film reel, and Sweetums actually popping out a living, breathing Muppet that we see right in front of us. And, seen what went into Muppet Vision, and the fact that Muppet Vision 3D was one of the very last piece of Muppet materials that Jim Henson himself, the father of the Muppets, ever worked on in the palm of his hands. And the fact that Muppet Vision 3D was supposed to be a part of this planned Muppet Land that could have happened, at MGM Studios, and we would have also had, say, another land in MGM Studios, which being a Roger Rabbit land. But unfortunately, both of those, especially the planned Muppet Land, didn't come to be when, unfortunately, in May of 1990, we sadly lost Jim Henson himself. And after that, well, because we wouldn't get what was planned for MGM, all that would remain, of course, is Muppet Vision 3D. The Henson family did allow for that to still be in the works and for it to finish, and just 1 year after Jim Henson passed away, we would get one last Muppet material that Jim had worked on, and just what a fitting way, and it was great to see that it still existed, and that's what Jim would have wanted, because, for a long time, always wanting to incorporate the Muppets in the Disney parks, not to mention his Muppet characters, and along with his company being a part of the Disney family, that's what he wanted as well, to sell off his company and to be less, and with the less stressness that was put into him and so on. I'm sure you know this too, but and not to mention some of the other Muppet materials that Henson and his Muppet crew were doing around the same time when they were doing Muppet Vision, like the Muppets of Walt Disney World, really getting the Muppets out there in the Disney parks, even like another Muppet show that made its way to MGM Studios, actually just 1 year before Muppet Vision, and very shortly after Jim's passing, and that being Here Come the Muppets. If any of you are familiar with that, and the fact that it used to be in the same theater building where Voyage of the Little Mermaid is now, and with the Little Mermaid show's update. So that's what was in that theater building before Little Mermaid. So where you have the Muppets, live body costumes of the Muppets and such, and just keep in mind, this came just 1 year before Muppet Vision. But unfortunately, Here Come the Muppets didn't last long, but we had Muppet Vision, and of course that was the best and superior Muppet show at the Disney parks. With Muppet Vision 3D itself, because everything, the detail, from the outside to the inside is amazing. Some funny posters, because people seem to forget that, it does have a long extended queue, and you would get to see some funny themed posters, of the Muppets, and, well, going inside of the theater, because you would see the front desk, and, under the mattress, there's a key. Yeah, keep that in mind, because I'm sure you did, Even my mom, I remember one time my mom pointed out about where the key is, and yeah, under the rug. I remember that very well. And yeah, the pre-show that happens is great too, because, with the multiple TVs and how they're linked and such, and seeing all the various Muppets doing funny things, and, from, say, Scooter and Sam the Eagle giving us instructions and before entering the theater. It was great. And Rizzo pretending to be Mickey Mouse, Bean Bunny wanting to help Miss Piggy, but then getting the boot and such, being hi-ya karate'd. Gonzo doing a funny dance with a pot plant, and a bunch of other funny stuff that happened, during the pre-show. It was great. And some of the various props that are in the pre-show, because you would, of course, notice, say, the swine trek. And you would also see, up above the balcony, some of the soldiers that would be in the final number of Muppet Vision. Sam the Eagle wanting to do a 3-hour glorious finale, but, having a minute and a half, and yeah, those soldiers that we see, yeah. It's really cool because some of those soldiers were some of the actual ones used, and just basically Imagineers took some of them and placed them in the pre-show. So it's kind of like they're watching us from up above, you know what I mean? It's great, from backstage. Yeah, and also, because, by the way, not only was Muppet Vision the last Muppet material that Jim worked on, but also Richard Hunt as well, because for one last time, Richard Hunt would reprise his Muppet voice roles and such of Scooter, Stadler, and Sweetums. Yeah. However, yeah, Richard was not, at that point, he wasn't feeling too well, and he was not able to be in the body of Sweetums, so instead, Jim's late son, John Henson, filled in, and yeah, and even after Richard Hunt's passing, John Henson would become at the time, the new Muppet performer for Sweetums, and sometimes lending the voice, yeah. Yeah, even, not to mention at that time, Muppet Vision was, one of the last, Muppet materials where we had Scooter in there, because for a while, and pretty much throughout the 90s, Scooter was absent, yeah, until, Scooter did eventually find new voices, and then when, say, Dave Rudman officially stepped in to take over Scooter and Janice, yeah. But yes, and anything else to say? Well, yeah, the animatronics. Let's talk about the animatronics, because, yeah, the animatronics of the Muppet characters are impressive. The Penguin Orchestra, and the Swedish Chef, and Stadler, and Waldorf, and Bean Bunny. They're impressive, and they are supposed to look exactly like how they are, and, they're moving like puppets, But, I mean, they're Muppets, not puppets, but, still. And by the way, because, with my memories of seeing Muppet Vision, well, I do remember one in particularly where, okay, we know there have been times. Any of us that have experienced and have seen Muppet Vision, one of us would have this experience. Not just at Muppet Vision, but anything else, even if it's a show. A malfunction or a technical difficulty or something. You get what I'm saying. I remember one time when seeing Muppet Vision, apparently, when entering the theater, we can clearly see Stadler and Waldorf and the Penguins. The Penguin Orchestra was not lowered down. They weren't lowered down. And Stadler and Waldorf, the curtains that cover them, they weren't covered at all. They were just standing there still. I guess because the platform that lowers down the Penguin Orchestra wasn't functioning, and neither were the curtains. Yeah. And not to mention that in the numerous videos I have seen of Muppet Vision in the past months and so on, the main curtain that covers the screen, it hadn't been functioning as well. And, everybody that enters in the theater would see a white blank screen until the film would start. So, yeah. I wonder why they never got a chance to fix that. Especially because as of now, with its one last day of operation. Beats me. Oh well. I guess I just, sadly, didn't have the time to do so. It's a shame. But yeah. And also because, with the show itself, because, yeah, this being a demonstration of 3D and Kermit and the Muppets showing various things with 3D technology, you know, and especially like Fozzie doing some cheap 3D tricks, you know, like most notably showering us with his flower, you know, squirting water, yeah, because the water effects, or say, you know, the wind blow or something, because, you know, the power of the wind, you know what I'm saying, like those moments in the show. Gust of wind or whatever, right in our face, yeah. And also because, yeah, and with Waldo himself, the spirit of 3D, because being one of the main characters of the show, like, yeah, from him and Bean Bunny, them, you know, even as of now, them being prime staples of Muppet Vision, so, and, you know, when you would think of, say, Bean Bunny and Waldo, well, you would instantly think of this, so, yeah, and keep in mind, because Bean Bunny, you know, had already been in some Muppet projects / materials before he would become a main character of Muppet Vision, so yeah. Hey, I mean, at least, you know, Muppet Vision, even as of now and before its closure, being, like, one of those Muppet materials where we do have Steve Whitmire in it, because, you know, him voicing Bean Bunny, Waldo, and Rizzo, and of course, you know, even after he got sadly fired, yeah. Yeah, I'm just saying, you know, you get what I'm saying. Yeah, and also because, you know, with everything else that happens and with the effects that they have, you know, even, like, having a few updates to the effects, like, I can think of most notably, yeah, a new Waldo effect where multiple Waldos, you know, are floating around, and because, you know, now I can start my own football team. Yeah, that did get updated at one point. Also, because, yeah, very rarely, because we would, like, it would be out there on social media, breakdowns and technical difficulties of Muppet Vision. Like, I've seen one, and most notably it was featured in one of the TPM vids, top 10 videos of malfunctions and such. One where the audio for Muppet Vision was not working. Eventually, the audience was, you know, escorted out. So, that was funny. And by the way, because the rest of the Muppets Courtyard, like, yeah, let's talk about the Muppets Courtyard / Grand Avenue, because, well, Grand Park, I should say. Muppets Courtyard, I mean, whichever which sounds fine to me, yeah. Because, yeah, besides Muppet Vision itself, like, the outside and the interiors of this, like, Muppets Courtyard, you know, with what we did get eventually, that could have been a Muppets theme land, you know, still. Yeah, it was pretty good. One of my favorite things outside would have to be the fountain. Yeah, back when it used to have so much more. You know, you had the statues of Gonzo, Fozzie, Animal, and Miss Piggy was rotating. But then later on, they got rid of that, and it just, like, what happened? Like, that was a really cool fountain. It was one of my favorites. I think from that and next to, say, the fountain / statue over at New Fantasyland, Gaston and LeFou, that's another good one, yeah. It's a shame, like, they stripped off most of the fountain at, you know, outside of Muppet Vision. I don't know what the specific reason was, but, you know, even as of now, that's gonna go away. But they should salvage that. They should, you know, be in the archives or something. Especially, you know, Miss Piggy, come on. Yeah, and also because it wasn't there before, but yeah, Rizzo's Pizzeria. Sadly, I never got to experience that, nor did I get to taste their pizza, but I guess probably some of you who have experienced that would probably be telling me right away in the comment section that, yeah, it's a good thing you haven't and never will, because I've heard, of course, that the pizza over there at Rizzo's Pizzeria and such is apparently not good. Well, I mean, before that came in, we had Pizza Planet. I seem to recall my family and I liking the taste of the pizza there. We didn't find anything wrong with it. I guess that's just us, you know, with our taste buds, you know? And yeah, I guess that it comes down to how your taste buds react to certain tastes of pizza or something, you know what I mean? Just, yeah. So I'm sure to some, did like the pizza that was served at Rizzo's Pizza Place. And, not to mention that, that pizza place was built, I think, around the time, because, up to when, say, sadly, Steve Whitmire got fired, and I guess you can say, what Rizzo did afterwards, and the fact that Rizzo was no longer one of the big main stars of the Muppets, he just, went off and focused on the pizza business at Hollywood Studios. Don't you think? Like, that sounds like it makes good sense, yeah. And how to put it, the lore of the Muppets. And the fact, because the earliest plans for the Muppets themed land, we would have had a restaurant that would have had Rizzo and the Rats there, but then it got turned into the Mama's, what the heck is it called again? You know what I'm talking about. Yeah, that's what it ended up being. And various traces and markings of what would have been a restaurant themed to the Muppets, and with animatronics of the Rats being there, did remain, but of course that got closed. And I did see one or two videos of the last customers at that restaurant. Also, the Muppet gift shops. Because little did we know at that time that when they closed and they never reopened, that would just be the very early beginning that, things were not looking too good for the Muppets Courtyard / Grand Avenue Park, Because, when the pandemic hit and when Disney World and all the other Disney parks were closed, well, when they did reopen, the Muppet gift shop that you would go to after, exiting Muppet Vision didn't reopen. Instead, in the later years, well, it would technically reopen, but for events and such, and for photos and so on, But I mean, from some videos I've seen, some remnants and traces in those gift shops still remain, because, golly, because I remember, they had some pretty cool stuff at those shops. Heck, they even had a display of statued figures of the Electric Mayhem. They even had, posters of, Muppet Christmas Carol and Muppet Treasure Island. That was pretty cool. And sets, from, say, The Great Muppet Caper and The Muppet Movie, the finale, The Magic Store, the flat cardboard cutouts of, the Electric Mayhem bus. That at the end of the Muppet movie. But, at least, the outside of the Muppet shop still remained, until now, because you had those two Kermit statues, and, you had the message that reads, Animal was here, because he was, he had painted around the outside of the gift shop. That was funny. And you realize that Animal, he was the only big Muppet that was not featured in Muppet Vision. I don't know what the specific reason was. I guess probably maybe they would have wanted to include Animal, but in the end, it just felt like, there was nothing that they can do, how they would incorporate Animal or any of the Muppets to Muppet Vision, because, just overall, I mean, look, even though Animal wasn't a part of Muppet Vision, still turned out fine, I mean, hey, at least, because we had, say, Fozzie and Gonzo, they were there in the show. And, Dr. Bunsen, Honeydew, and Beaker, their presence too, and Miss Piggy, her song number, a wonderful 3D number was funny, and Bean Bunny trying to help, but he's kind of screwing up some, and that whole thing where, anybody seen a bunny? And, and the fact that there is, audio sounds of kids, shouting and pointing to Bean right there. And sometimes the audience ourselves would interact as well, pointing out to Bean Bunny. And the glorious 3-hour finale, but reduced to a minute and a half, is great. And with the fireworks that happen, Stadler and Waldorf, their various comments throughout the show are funny. And when it comes to say, it ends with mayhem, as you would expect from the Muppets, because, the penguins firing from a cannon, and the Swedish chef firing on Waldo, and then unloading a cannon, and just, everything kaboom! Just, it was great, And by the way, because I've seen some behind the scenes of Muppet Vision, and they're out there on YouTube as of now, if you've seen them by any chance yet. And apparently, because, Bean Bunny would have been on screen, and because there were some photos, and now there's footage where Steve Whitmire was puppeteering Bean Bunny and like in a construction hat where it comes right in front of the screen, and well, because what a cute ending, and the curtains closed, but that got changed to with Waldo coming out once more, disguised as Mickey Mouse, and after that, being sucked back into Muppet Labs, well, Bean Bunny, still, saying what a cute ending, but up in one of the theater boxes. And it was so funny, because, Stadler and Waldorf getting the last lines of the show, because they get the first lines and they got the last lines, and not to mention, Richard Hunt, the voice of Stadler, getting the first and last line of Muppet Vision. That's very fitting. Well, and that also goes for Jim, because, both of them, the two of them getting the first and last lines of Muppet Vision. If you think about it. Because their final lines is Stadler and Waldorf. Well, what do you think? Asks Stadler to Waldorf. We have time to go to the bathroom before the next show, asks Waldorf. We can't, you old fool. We're bolted to the seats. Literally. And the jokes that Stadler and Waldorf have are so funny. We entered a contest. We lost. Or, this is a very moving moment. I wish they moved to Pittsburgh. And by the way, because the entrance of Muppet Vision, well, it went through various changes. Like, the only thing that remained were, like, say, I don't know the specific name of these, but, cutouts of, like, say, Sweetums and Stadler and Waldorf, and there's a text bubble, with Stadler and Waldorf, talking about Muppet Vision, and, let's go in, so, And Sweetums, like, paddleball, that too, so. And by the way, because I, of course, remember this too, because, what the old outside entrance of Muppet Vision looked like, where it had that giant sign, and even Jim Henson's name being there. Also, the Kermit hot air balloon. Because it's a shame that got taken down eventually because, well, it's because of Galaxy's Edge. I understand, but still. If only they could have found a way to cover that up or something. I don't know, Look, again, I get it because wanting to keep the illusion that you're on another planet in a galaxy far, far away. Yes, but still, Hey, this is still Hollywood Studios. You should at least, those lands should at least do something movie set-ish, you know what I'm saying? Star Tours did. You know what I mean? And it was so fitting that, because you would go from, say, something Star Wars and then to the Muppets. You know what I mean? It went so well. But, because the fact that we're getting the Monsters, Inc. land, and it's going to be in between, say, two Star Wars things, Star Tours itself and Galaxy's Edge. Well, look at this, because, Galaxy's Edge is sandwiched in between, like, say, two Pixar lands, Monsters, Inc. and Toy Story. See what I mean? That'll be interesting and fun. But yeah, and, more on the Monsters, Inc. land. For a lot of us, I know, because even I was I think, just a little bit of it hit me too, where, oh, please, don't go, let's hope this doesn't go in the place of Muppet Vision, and sadly, that turned out to be true, And I know that my bro Tiki from So You Want to Be Imagineer, shout out to him, and I was on the same page too. Maybe the Monsters, Inc. land should have gone into that location where Launch Bay is and Disney Junior Live. Maybe that's where it should have gone. At least, we're keeping the Little Mermaid show, but not much but there's nothing really that much spectacular, nothing that much enjoyable as it used to with Launch Bay and the Disney Junior. Because Disney Junior, it's not as fun as it used to be. Because I remember, and you do too, because when it used to be Playhouse Disney live on stage, the puppet versions of those characters, come on, now it's just like this DJ remix thing, Well, look, I can understand that, the little kids obviously enjoying it, but still, And again, for Launch Bay, nothing really going on there anymore. Not like what it used to be. When it first began, that was fun, but as of now, it's just still standing there, golly. it was definitely a lot more fun when it was still the animation studios building, and you get to experience, like, animation stuff, and you get to draw, and fun activities, meet and greets. Come on, I remember that. Heck, I remember when my mom and I, when we had gone there, one time we met Lotso from Toy Story 3. I remember that very well. Ugh. But, yeah, and I remember when I went to, when it was just me, I took a picture with just Frozone, and one of my finger puppets, yeah, I interacted with Frozone, and, yeah. It's, you know, it's a shame. Some of the good stuff, and as of now, Muppet Vision going away, it's, you know, it's heartbreaking, it really is. Yeah, and more on Muppet Vision because, yeah, you know, with each of the details and stuff, like from the outside of Muppet Vision being stripped away, and even as of now, with the stores having closed, and the show itself coming to an end, yeah, it's a shame. But have no fear, because maybe some of you know this by now, where Disney is gonna find ways to, you know, save that film footage, you know, the film of Muppet Vision, and that's a good thing, because they, you know, to, you know, have it be safe and sound, and, you know, for us down the road to see this once again, maybe it'll make its way to Disney+. That seems like it will, but how? And what are they going to do specifically? Well, we're going to find out, yeah. You know, not to mention, I also heard that, well, on the last day of Muppet Vision, Steve Whitmire being present, and that's good to see, rightfully so. Being present at Disney themselves, and at the Disney parks, and, yeah, one of the, members of Muppet Vision being a part of being there for that last day, awesome. Yeah. I feel like, I don't know, is it me or is that kind of a good sign that even though Steve Whitmire is no longer Kermit and all the other Muppets, he seems to be on good terms with Disney? Why else would he be there on the last day of Muppet Vision? If you get what I'm saying, just yeah. I think I'm running out of stuff to say as of now, but yeah. Well, I will say this, because look, even though Muppet Vision is going away, and yes, because I made a video about this before, where, yeah, my thoughts on Muppet Vision's closure, and, well, where the Muppets are going to go next in Hollywood studios, and, because, yeah, with Monsters, Inc. Land making its way, because, yeah, of course, have to acknowledge that, you know, even though Muppet Vision's going away, the Muppets themselves will find a new home and have themselves a new attraction at Disney's Hollywood Studios. And that being at the Rock and Roller Coaster attraction. It'll no longer be Aerosmith, it'll be Dr. Teeth and the Electric Mayhem. And that's very fitting, yeah. You know, especially because as of now, you know, Aerosmith no longer being a thing anymore, you know. But, yeah, the best thing to replace what is in Rock and Roller Coaster for a band is, well, the Electric Mayhem. Yeah. You know, especially since the Electric Mayhem, they went big just themselves with their, you know, now canceled show on Disney+, The Muppets Mayhem. Yeah, sadly it only lasted for one season, but hey, it still turned out pretty good. Centering on the Electric Mayhem and how the Electric Mayhem were done in this, and, yeah, it was awesome. Yeah, hopefully for the new Muppet attraction that's going to be in Rock and Roller Coaster, it may be pretty good, you know? And who knows, like, if they're going to trim down, like, the intensity of the ride itself. It's hard to tell. I mean, maybe, but we'll just have to wait and see, you know? I mean, I can totally picture, say, because, you know, the Muppets, like, say, in the recording booth, like Aerosmith is, golly, that's definitely going to happen, without a doubt. But whatever else is going to happen in the Muppets' new home at Hollywood Studios, it'll be exciting to see, yeah. Muppets going from one old attraction to the next, you know, just, the Muppets just keep moving forward with new projects and materials that they would find themselves into, yeah. But, yeah, I think as of right there, that's all I've got to say. That's all I've got to say. So, yeah, just overall, the closure and departure of Muppet Vision 3D is very sad. What could have been a prime staple of Hollywood Studios, right? Like a national monument or something, you know? Because you get what I'm saying. That's what it should have been. The same goes for It's Tough to Be a Bug. But sadly for both of them, not the case, and it sucks. But you know, sometimes all good things must come to an end. And sadly, Muppet Vision 3D being one of them. And you realize that, yeah, this year we have now lost 2 big 3D attractions at the Disney parks. First, with It's Tough to Be a Bug at Animal Kingdom, and as of now, Muppet Vision 3D at Hollywood Studios. Think about that, and let that sink in. Wow, yeah. But, you know, whatever's going to, I think as I recall, yeah, the theater itself, the building is going to stay there for the Monsters, Inc. land, and a new show is going to be placed in there. Whatever it's going to be, I'm sure it might be pretty good, you know, because whatever the monsters are going to do, and if we're going to see, like, some animatronics in the place of the Muppet characters, you know, just have to wait and see. It may be pretty good. But yeah, just overall, Muppet Vision 3D itself, it will be dearly missed. It was a favorite to all the park guests at the Disney parks, a favorite attraction/show in 3D. Yeah. And let us raise a toast for Muppet Vision 3D, one of the last piece of Muppet materials that Jim Henson ever worked on, and now with its closure, it will be dearly missed. Very. For the park fans, for the Muppet fanatics, everybody that loved and had so many fond memories with Muppet Vision, it will be missed. So with that, I thank you very much for watching this video of me, my tribute/farewell to Muppet Vision 3D itself, with the memories I've had of seeing Muppet Vision, some good laughs, and the experience of having seen it with my very own eyes, and the same goes for you. Yeah. It's a shame. It really is. But again, I thank you very much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I had to share and offer with you my farewell/tribute to Muppet Vision. And you guys let me know in the comments section, any of you that have experienced and have gone to Hollywood Studios seeing Muppet Vision, what are your fondest memories with the show? And if maybe, by any chance, maybe some of you got to have a private meet and greet with Sweetums, that has happened before a couple of times, yeah. What are some of your favorite moments to come from Muppet Vision? Your favorite lines and what you quote from Muppet Vision? Any souvenirs and merchandise that you had gotten from the Muppet shops? I had gotten a few. I think, yeah, a few comic books, because they did have some, yeah. Any of you that got to experience more of the Muppets Courtyard and, you know, even say Rizzo's Pizza Place, if you got to try the pizza there. You know, anything else that you loved and had a great time with, you know, with Muppets at the Disney parks. And not to mention that, yeah, can't forget to mention this, one more thing, because, yeah, the fact that Muppet Vision also used to be at Disney's California Adventure, but that got taken out as well, and in its place, Mickey's PhilharMagic. Golly. So if any of you have experienced Muppet Vision at California Adventure, yeah, let me know on that. And, you know, if you're looking forward to when the Muppets are going to make their way to Rock and Roller Coaster, and if you are looking forward to the Monsters, Inc. land, I am, but at the same time, yes, I am still sad that Muppet Vision is no more. But, again, we'll have to wait and see what they're going to do when they save the film footage, whatever they're going to do with Muppet Vision, restoring it, and we will see it sometime down the road, yeah. And what do you think on that, too? Any of you that have heard of this? Yeah. Just overall, with all that I've had to say in this video, my tribute/farewell to Muppet Vision, yeah, just leave comments and give this video a like, as always. And with all that being said, again, thank you very much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this video of me giving my tribute/farewell to Muppet Vision 3D, and I will see you guys in the next video. Take care, peace out, and rest in peace to Muppet Vision 3D. Waka waka!